feel free to ask questions, right? Before we actually start, I know there's a few people ask me they didn't get the invite or they don't have a Revit license. So just to clarify, this training session is for people that are actively working on Revit. So if you're not have a Revit license, that means you're not working on Revit at the moment. So you can skip this for the time being and watch the recording, okay? So feel free to drop out if you're one of those. Right, I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you can see it there. Yeah.
All right, great, cool. So let's get started. So the idea is to, when we were, as the BIM team, we were discussing what training sessions should be like, and we're gonna go through different topics once a month on general training sessions. Sometimes I will give it, sometimes other people will give it. You know, that we have different expertise in the office, and some people are good at different things. So the idea is to share that knowledge with a wider team, and we'll be recording these sessions, as I said before. So you can always go back and rehatch something that was reviewed. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we have a useful library of sessions that we can watch, or you can watch and kind of refresh whenever you're stuck or something. So the very first one that we're going to do today is setting up a Revit model. So this is the classic example that applies either for planning or post-planning, because when you are in planning, well, you're going to set up the Revit model if you're doing a Revit model, and you're going to start from scratch. So you'll need this. And when you are in post-planning and you're receiving a planning application that comes from CAD and you're moving to Revit, you'll have to do this as well. So it applies across the board. It is a step-by-step guide of how to do it properly, right? We've been working at this in the BIM team in the office. So hopefully it's clear, and we're going to do it together. So I'm going to ask you to start your Revit. Hopefully you have Revit 2023 or later, right? And PyRevit. Yeah.
Coming because it's,
yeah. Feel free to interrupt. I mean, this is meant to be interactive, right? So if you're stuck, just let me know and I can wait for you and we can answer any questions, all right? Hopefully we get this done in less than an hour, and then you can go and start your weekend. Right, so we spoke about who is this training for. All right,
Yeah.
so the Revit template, right? So we've been working, yeah?
Yeah, I would just put it even on.
I think we lost you, Marco.
You lost you, Marco.
You muted yourself mid-speech there, Marco.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry,
guys.
All right, so that was it. You want to say something?
No, I'm good. Sorry.
All right.
Just forgot to mute my mic. Thanks.
Cool. Right. So where is the Revit template, right? That's like a beginner's question, and everyone, well, a lot of people have been asking me. So if you go to the work server under BIM, you'll have, I kind of restructured this at the beginning of the year, so it seems more clear now. You should normally navigate to either the 00 or the 01. The Revit template is in 01, and then there's very clear at the very first folder Office template. And there's like a Revit 2023. This is the old template, so you should avoid these ones, but I just kept them there in case there's a need for them. But you should use this one, right? These are backup files, so you don't have to worry about these ones because we're still working on it. So it's not kind of finished, but it's way better than the previous template. And it's a Revit 2023. So if you open this with a later version, it will just upgrade, right? So how do you open the Revit template from your Revit window? So when you start Revit, and I want you to do this now with me. Sorry, I should have started Revit before the meeting. So without opening any file on the Revit window, click on the top left button that says Home. and then go to File, Options. Okay. Then where it says File Locations, I have one extra line here, but you won't have this. So I need you to change. There's going to be one that says Construction Template. I need you to change the folder inside this construction template, clicking the 3 dots, and navigate to the actual file on the server that I just showed you. So the file is within Work. You go to your server, then Work, BIM, Revit Office Standards, Office Template, 2023, and click on that file, right? Just let me know if with a thumbs up if you have done this so we can move on. Or if anyone is stuck, please ask.
So where'd
That's
you get the
okay.
options at the beginning?
Yeah, so if you go to the... So this is the starting window, right? If you go to the top left, there's a home button here.
Yeah.
And then go to File, Options.
Oh, okay, perfect. Got it.
Cool. And then File Locations. Everyone there? Just a thumbs up.
Sorry.
Yeah?
Sorry, where's the template again?
It's within the Work server. Then go to BIM.
Yeah.
Then go to Revit Office Standards.
Yeah.
Office Template, the very first folder.
The very first one? Or yeah, okay. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anyone else? All right. So what this will do is when you click, when you go to the home screen, let's say the way you go to the home screen is click again on this top left button. If you did that correctly, when you click and start a new model from scratch, this says MCon template because I modified it, but in your case, it will say construction template. But if you click OK, it will start a project using the new template, which should look with a starting screen like this. You'll have to do this for every Revit version that you use. So, if you start Revit 2024, you'll have to do the folder change again. Everyone there?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So
yeah,
that's the new template. That's the way to use it. So obviously that template will keep changing, will keep evolving. So it will stay in the same location. So when you start a new project, in 6 months' time, it'll still be the same file name in the same location, but maybe with different features, let's say, right? The view template has a lot of things in it that we've been working on. Some of them are half cooked. Some of them are more or less complete. So I'm going to go through the basics now, right? The first thing is the project information. So once you have opened a new file that is a project that is using the latest project template, I want you to go to Manage and then Project Information. So the information here affects the title block. So it's important for it to be complete. All right. So organization name and discipline is kind of done already by default, and it will most probably be the same for all projects. But the project status is depends on what project status your project is in, right? So where is this P coming from? Most of you probably remember that resembles the face of the project, and the way to refresh that, like if you're lost and you don't remember, oh, I'm in planning, but I don't remember if it's P2 or P3, go to the BIM wiki page, which you have, hopefully you have the link somewhere saved. If you don't have it, I'm gonna copy it on the chat. All right, so that's the link. And click on the search button, and then you type naming or something like that, and it will take you to the naming convention. or it should. There. And here, there's a PDF that you can download. You click on the download button. And then if you open that PDF has the information you need about the phasing. So if you go to the bottom of the page where it says phase, it tells you P1 is feasibility, P2 is pre-planning, P3, P4, P6. So if you're jumping to a construction project, it's going to be P8 in short, right? And then you want to fill up the client. So I'm going to put here training, and you can put the project name. I'm going to call it Friday session, because all this goes to the title block. So you want it to be correct, right? And the project number, obviously, whichever project number you have. So I'm going to leave it as it's 6 digits normally. So I'm just going to put 00 and then click OK. So everyone got it? So the title block will read those elements and add them to your title block. So the client name, the project title, all that comes from the project information, this P8 thing here. Some people prefer, instead of having P8, P6, because, you know, it's an internal use. If you want to change this to construction or for information, again, you go to project information and you say here construction, for example. And it will change there, right? This is for all the title blocks in the project. So it's like you don't have to do it one by one, all right? And you'll see that the naming convention for the drawing number is aligned to, it takes elements from the project information field, like the MCOR and AR and the project number and the phase. And oh, actually, the phase is an important one. So as you can see, P7 and construction are different. This is coming from the project information, but this is a local value. Why is it like this? Precisely for you to be able to specify another value here without having to change the actual phase of the project. And the way to change that is you double click on this number and it will give you all the fields. And here, whatever you change here is just for this sheet. Okay? Is that more or less clear?
Yes.
Cool. Drawing and check by, it's also unique. You can change these without having to go to any specific fields. Right. So that's the title block. Let's see what's next. Delete 3D elements. So we're setting up this new project, and the project template has a few elements in it that kind of we needed to set out some grids and, you know, make sense of whatever we're doing in the project template. You can delete all this. You don't need it for your project, right? So the way to delete is just go to the 3D view and just select everything except the grid lines. We want the grid lines as a reference. So, and the levels, sorry, grids and levels, leave those. There. And so then you end up with a basically empty project, right? Anyone behind?
Sorry, Bruno. How did you keep the grids, like highlight everything and then just
right.
change?
So when you highlight everything, there's a useful button here called filter.
Filtered, yeah.
And then you just untick
grid
the
levels.
grids levels, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else stuck? All right. Don't be shy, okay? Now is the time to ask questions. Create worksets. So normally, the best practice for Revit models is to work with central model, right? We avoid, by all means, keeping files that just belong to you. And why is this? Is because central models have a greater capacity for backups and are easier to fix. So when you break a model that is just hosted on your machine, chances are we won't be able to fix it. But if a central model breaks, you have a lot of history that can be useful to fix the file, you know? So we want to work always with central models. So you make a central model by creating worksets. So once you have this empty file, you click on the workset icon that says is down here. You can see my mouse. And then it will pop up this window. And the only thing we want to change here is the naming convention. So we don't want workset 1. We want people to know that this workset is actually belongs to MCORN. And there's a useful guidance on the wiki page as well. It's going to go to here. You go back to the home page and click search and type worksets. This is how we're naming the worksets here. So we're going to call it MCORN-general. All right. So you're going to name all this MCORN-general. This might take a minute or two. It might be quick. And then it shows you this window and you just say, okay. So whenever you save this project now, it's going to be a central model, all right? So is everyone there? Yes.
Yeah, all there now. Yeah.
Okay. As you can see, the active workset is the MCORN general, which is fine. We don't want to create too many worksets, especially when we don't know the complexity of the project. So having one
Hi, Bruno.
now is perfect. Yeah.
The worksets icon is kind of grayed out on mine. I don't see a way to select
It's the
it.
same for me. Yeah, it's the same for me. It's grayed out. I can't.
Okay. Can you share your screen?
Yep. So, if you can see.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I'm thinking. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's a bit small for me. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Why will it 2024? Might be because you haven't saved the file. Just save the file.
I think it's because it's not a central, Bruno. Yet.
Failed to open up.
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, I know why. So you open the actual Revit template. So you see the top bar has RTE at the end of the file name.
Okay.
So you actually
this one,
open the Revit template itself. So you're working on the template.
Okay.
So you'll have to do everything again. So close that file.
Okay.
I'll show you where the mistake is.
Okay. Close this file.
No. Go to File,
Okay.
Close, and don't
Yep.
save. So click on New. There. So you clicked, you see at the bottom there are two options, one that says project and the other one that says project template. You clicked on the project
Yeah.
template. You shouldn't click on that. Just click
Okay.
OK.
So go with the project.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll catch up. It's okay.
Perfect. And now the worksheet
Thank you.
is available. Yeah,
Thanks.
you're welcome. Right. So anyone else? Any other questions regarding this so far?
Bruno,
Mhm.
earlier when I went up to help Paul to start a new project, I did the thing where you start a new project and then you select the template, how we always do it, and then it said the template was unavailable when we were doing it. So
I had it
don't
open.
know.
I had it open. Sorry.
Is it closed?
Yeah, it's
Is it
closed
erased?
now, so you should be able to
Okay.
use it now. Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
To see if that was maybe Erica's thing as well.
No. Well, I hope not. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe just pop to the
Yeah.
desk.
I'm just trying to open the template here, but it's saying it was saved in a later version.
So someone saved it.
I'm the same.
You'll have to use the backup. So let me just fix that for you. Give me 1 second.
My Revit version is 2023.1. Does that make a difference?
Nah, it's probably someone working now on the file. Save it by mistake. I'm just gonna save this.
I think someone's opening the same as they did previously, where they're opening the template and not
Yeah.
as a project. So that's what's happening. So
Yeah.
maybe someone's
All right. So I
I
fixed
must
the
just
file.
check top right and see if it's RVE or
Yeah, I'd say try again. Who was that? Trina?
That was me.
Connor, sorry.
One, yeah.
Try and open it again.
Yeah, it's working now.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Cool. So the next step is save file on server. So now we have to save the file, right? We have a central file that's clean. The worksets are created. Now you click on the save button. I want you to navigate to, again, the Beam folder, then go to training exercise files, and then open the folder that says 7th of March training, and then save your models here. And before you click save, we're going to name the model the way we should name the model. So where do we get that from? Again, if you go to the wiki page, here it tells us what the name of the model should be like, right? So you can either just Control-C this and paste it here and just replace the fields to what it should be. So I'm going to name it 000 mcorn AR. After the AR is the level. So because this is a model and the model has many levels in it and it's not meant to be a drawing or something like that with a specific level in mind, we use XX. And then DR is for drawing. This is all in the table, eh? This is all here. So don't get confused. So a Revit model is a 3D model. So I'm going to use M3. We know the face, in my case, is P8. And then the naming of the BC in this case stands for building or area, which in the case of the Revit model, normally you have like building A, or if it's a model with the whole site in it, you use SW for site wide. So I'm going to use SW in mine. And then the character area, which is these 3 digits, I want you to put your name in it. So I know this is your model, right? So you did the exercise. So in my case, I'm going to put Bruno and then leave the number as it is. You can copy that the way I have it on the screen if you want. This is for you to get used to the naming convention, right? Any questions regarding that? Cool. I'm going to save. And it will tell me this has not been added to kinship. If this shows up, this is because you have kinship installed and it's completely fine. Just click do not track because we don't need this on kinship. So our central model is working fine. It's on the server, named correctly. Now we can continue to the next step. Okay. Any questions? Then set location. So normally we have a survey, from the engineers, whatever, on a CAD file, right? In this case, we're going to use a sample one, which is this one from Valimam, which is, if you go to the Beam folder on the server and go to training exercise files and training, you'll see, I'm just going to create a backup of this. Valimam CAD file, right? I want you to copy that to your desktop and open it. Well, actually, you don't have to open it. Just look at you actually open it. Yes. So you can follow on what I'm doing. You should have something like this on the screen. So this is a geolocated CAD file, right? So it has the coordinates, ITM, has the height on it, etc. We're going to bring this into Revit, right? Because we want our project to be geolocated. So the way to do that is we're gonna, oh, my mouse is lagging. I'm gonna go to in the Revit model, click on the site, the view, on the floor plan at the very top. It's gonna be open there. You should get something like this on the screen. This is the orientation of this view is true north. This is important. It will, in the template, it's always true north, so you don't have to worry too much about it. But when you're bringing a CAD in that is geolocated, you want this to be true north, all right? So you zoom out a little bit because the CAD file is obviously way bigger than this 5x5 grid line. I'm going to insert. Sorry, actually, before we do that, just a few tips on the CAD file, right? Always try to delete. Sometimes the CAD files have a lot of rubbish around them, right? This one has been it's kind of clean, so that's fine. But you have a CAD file that has, drawings around the site plan or whatever, just delete that, save it with a different name, and type purge, on your keyboard. And make sure you purge all that can be purged, right? You don't want unnecessary things on the file that you're actually linking. And you want to see the coordinates, right? So you need to pick up a point in the CAD file to make sure that this is geolocated, because how do you know? It has a bunch of numbers, but how do you know this is geolocated? So you're going to type ID on your keyboard, and it's going to ask you for a point. I'm going to pick this manhole. If you see the manhole is kind of in the intersection, I'll advise you to pick the same, the bottom right corner. And it gives me a bunch of information in the ID window here. It's telling me that there's an X and Y coordinates that more or less looks like geolocated. Well, actually, it's geolocated, it's clear. And it gives you the height as well. So this is 58 meters above sea level. And the other thing, you need to save this. So take a snip of these coordinates, because you're going to need them for Revit. And the other thing to check is the units of this CAD file. Sometimes, most of the time it's on meters, but you want to make sure, right? So how do you check that? Well, I always go to a road and just select the width of the road, and that will tell you if it's meters. You see 655, so that's clearly meters. It's not millimeters, right? So save that file. Any questions regarding this so far? It's weird giving a session like this. It's like complete silence. I hope everyone is following. And then go to Insert, Link. Look for that file that you saved on your desktop. I'm going to use the one in the server because I didn't save it in the desktop. Okay, so before you click Open on the link CAD, there's a bunch of options down here that are very important, because if you don't get this right, it's not going to come in the right place. So the first one is current view only. So you want to take this one. This is a contentious point, but my arguments to click this one is you don't want to see the survey on every drawing that you have on the project, and you don't want to see it, especially on 3D. Sometimes you might want to see it on 3D. It's up to you. But you can always make that choice later. So when you're starting the project, you don't want to see that survey everywhere. So click current view only. And on units, it's important to specify the units because Revit is famous for not detecting properly, right? So you want to make sure this is in meters because it's in meters. You want to untick this one because you don't want Revit messing up your drawing. The CAD file has certain lines that you don't want them to be moved without your consent. And the positioning, for now, we're going to use center to center. So these are the options. This is what you want to have, right? Everyone there?
Would this be the option for all projects, would you say? Or like, say, for example, if the only change would be the millimeter, but everything else would be the same?
Yeah. This
Is
is
it?
what you want
Okay.
to use. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And then click Open. you might get a warning saying that the coordinates are not the same and whatever. That's fine. Actually, this didn't work the way I expected to. I tested this before the training. Sorry, let me go back. It always happens. Meter. I'm gonna use, sorry, this one. Let me test this. Has to give me a warning. Yeah. Position sentence center. All right. That's the point. Give me 1 second. Let me just find the right combination. Share coordinates. This is always, depending on the CAD file, you have to like. Sorry. That's the one. Sorry. All right. So just regarding the options, so the correct one is origin to internal origin. That's the one you want. Okay. Sorry about that. So when you do that, you'll get a CAD file more or less close to the grid lines, more or less, like this. Just let me know when everyone is there, or any questions.
You know, I missed actually where the CAD file is located that
yeah.
we're bringing in.
It's on the BIM folder on the server. You go to look at my screen, BIM.
Yeah.
Then training. Then training.
Okay.
And then this one's here.
Okay, perfect. That's grand. Thanks for that.
Okay. Right. So now we want to, the way setting the coordinates works on Revit is a bit like you bring the file. So the coordinates right now are not correct, right? So we brought the file closer to the grid line so we could see the CAD file. Now we have to tell Revit where the CAD file should actually be located. So I'm going to use that same, I'm going to zoom in that same point that I took the coordinates from in my CAD file. You remember when we used the ID command? We used the lower corner of this manhole. So I'm going to draw a line, annotate, detail line that touches that lower corner, right? You need to do this because otherwise you won't be able to tell Revit to specify the coordinates at this point specifically. Can be any type of line, doesn't matter, right? As long as it's touching the corner. Now that you have that line, you're going to tell Revit, okay, so the coordinates actually on this point should be, and then we're going to refer to the ones in the CAD file, right? So we're going to manage. In manage, there's a coordinates drop-down button. I'm going to say specify coordinates at point. And then you hover over the line and press tab until you see a blue dot. And click. And it will give you this pop-up that is kind of letting you edit the coordinates of that point, right? So if you remember, we had, I can go back to the CAD file. So we have a X and a Y, right? So these are in meters, right? So we're going to input this in millimeters in Revit because Revit, we have it in millimeters. So north and south is Y. So we're going to put the values that we had on the CAD file. 139,704. And because it's on millimeters, instead of the dot, I'm just going to carry on saying 876. And the X is the east-west, right? So I'm going to say 715,05280. And you'll notice that the elevation is actually correct. If you go to the CAD file, it was saying 58 meters above sea level. And this is correct. So the CAD file was brought in at the right level. I'm sure there's some questions here. Go ahead. Any questions?
No, that's
No.
all straightforward.
Perfect. Great.
Hi, Bruno. Could you just
Yeah.
go through that again from specified coordinates at point?
Yeah.
Just trying to
So-
select the point and it's not showing it.
Do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Okay. So go to specific coordinates at point and press the tab on your keyboard once,
Oh, tab. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
and then you'll get the number. I'm just gonna put this in.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Thanks.
Right. So yeah,
It is. Sorry.
we click OK. Now the way to verify that this actually did something, because there's no way to know, you go to annotate, spot coordinate, and you need the line as well. So here we can see that the coordinates are correct. It's in millimeters, remember, right? So there you are. Your project is now geolocated. You can save. So sync, sorry, because it's a central model. And now you have a geolocated CAD file. Well, geolocated project on your Revit file, right? Any questions?
No.
All right. Next step is location Revit. We did this one. Project browser. Right. So the project browser has changed a little bit on the way the views are sorted. So everything is sorted by packages. You can see this 21, 17, 26. All these are packages that relate again to the naming convention that we are busy with, which are these ones. So 00 are general plans, 10 are GAs, 35s are ceilings, and so on, right? So if you go to the sheets are also sorted by packages. So all the GAs are going to be under 10. All the ceilings are going to be under 35, and so on, right? And this is sorted automatically based on the sheet number. So you don't have to do anything. It was whenever you create a new sheet and it has the 2 digits specify the package number, it will go in the right place. All right. This is just for your information. Right. So a great benefit of the Revit template is the drawing register. So we're going to have in the schedules within the Revit template, there's a sheet schedule that is a drawing register. So this drawing register is meant to replace the manual input that you have on an Excel file when you issue drawings, right? This is a work in progress. It hasn't been finished because obviously this schedule that you're looking at that screen is not doesn't look the way it should look yet, right? But it will in a few months. So in the meantime, this is very useful to keep your drawings in order, right? And you can always export this to Excel and copy paste it into a drawing register, right? But in the meantime, this is great. So you can see the title block naming convention is here by column. So you got the level, the type, the drawing, the building, character area, and then the sheet number, which is exactly the fields that are specified in our naming convention here, right? So we're going to create a bunch of sheets now automatically to show you how the benefits of PyRevit, right? So you started a project, you need to create the sheets for your project so you have them all set up, right? I'm gonna ask you to on the work on the BIM training files, go to training, and I'm gonna open here on the screen before I open the file I want you to open. This is a drawing register that Robert created for one of his projects, and it's very useful because this is using the new naming convention, right? And again, Robert kind of did a column for each field, and it kind of populates into the drawing name. So I'm gonna use this as a sample to create all the sheets on Revit. So when you're starting a new project, you should always do your drawing register first in Excel. Make a list of all your drawings for your project instead of doing that list in Revit, right? Because it just takes too long. So once you have the Revit that list in Excel, you can use a template file like this. I can share this with you. I want you to clean it up. So when you clean it up, what you need to bring into Revit is actually this file. So it's 2 columns, sheet number, title of the sheet. Okay, like this. So this is all set up for now, and it's a file called clean up drawing register for batch sheet creation in the training files. So open that file on your machine. It will say read only, that's fine. And I want you to select all the data in it and press Ctrl C. Okay. Let me know when I can continue. Oh, is anyone stuck?
No.
Okay. So go now. Now that you copied that, we're gonna go to PyRevit, which I asked you to install. And within PyRevit, there's a bunch of tools that are super useful, and we'll go through them in due time. But in the meantime, what we want is sheets. Within the icon that says sheets, go to batch sheet maker. So what this does, it will create all the sheets for you based on those numbers, right? So here in this window, you're gonna press Ctrl V, and it will paste all the sheets that you want. Right? So that's it. Now from here, you just want to click create. It will give you a selection window where you choose the actual title block. I want you to choose A1, select, and there you go. It's creating all the sheets. It will give you a few warnings because we didn't delete the old sheets in the existing template, which is fine. But then there you go. You have all the sheets created. So for example, I'm gonna choose a sheet from the drawing register. Let's say I want to find, just for you to see the details, right? ICF detail sheet 1, which is 5,000. I want to go to that sheet. So it's going to be under 5,000, which is 50. Here we go. So there's the sheet, all kind of set up just for you to drop the drawings in. And the nice thing about it is that some of the fields for the sheet will be already filled. You just need to kind of add a few bits and pieces like the level. Like in case of the details, there's no level. So we put set, and the type is going to be a drawing, and the face is going to be P8. Actually, regarding the face, I'm going to give you a nice tip about that. Before you do the face, you go to the drawing register, and within the schedule, you click on fields, sorting and grouping, and untick itemize. It's going to bundle all the drawings in one field, in one row, sorry, which is, didn't actually, just hang on. Sort by. There. So here, if you change all these fields, like, the face is going to be the same for all the drawings. So we can say P8. And we probably know the building is going to be the same as well. So let's say BA. The character area, chances are it's going to be the same, maybe not. Sheet number is different. And the drawn by, in this case, it's going to be all by me. So I'm going to put BM. And now if you go back to fields and say sorting by sheet number and itemize, you see that those changes apply to all the sheets, right? So that can save you a bit of time. So you can see the naming now is correct. So it's trying to save you time, Now you have all the sheets for your
Could you go
model.
through that process again, Bruno, for me?
Yeah.
From the start there, just because I kind of lost it a little bit.
Yeah.
Sort.
From the start of creating the sheets.
Well, I have them added into
In the schedule.
drawing register, yeah. Schedule, yeah.
Sorry, so you created the sheets?
I think so.
How many sheets do you have?
I have the drawn register information in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, how many
Numbers.
rows do you have? I just want
Um,
to make sure you created the sheets.
Where does it say the rows? I can share
Well,
my screen.
more or less.
I don't know.
20.
100.
Yeah, you created. Perfect. That's fine. All right. So let's go back to my screen. So if you go to fields, edit. Sorry, not fields, but sorting and grouping.
Sorting, grouping, yeah.
Then instead of sorting by, just say none.
I none yet.
And then untick itemize every instance. And then click OK. So you'll get something like that.
Yeah.
And then you can change. Even the revision? No, the revision. No. That's
So you just do P8 in phase, is it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, whatever you need, but yeah. I mean, the level is going to change and the type is going to change, but some things will be the same,
Yeah.
Bruno, quick question. So what you're saying is we always have to start with an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, because imagine how much time it will take me to create these sheets one by one in Revit.
But if you're starting a project on Revit, you don't know where you're starting and where you're finishing, right? So
Yeah,
it's in
that's true.
secret. So
Yeah, I think
sorry, it's just a question. It's
yeah,
like,
I think
why would you need an Excel?
there's a bit of a balance. So I think when the project is being scoped out by the project lead, he has more or less a rough idea of what. Remember the levels of service that we were speaking with Mark, right?
Yes.
So this guy is going to need a GA, and with GAs it's going to be set, or this is Kern and they need all the drawings, right?
The
So
set packs, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, so
The
you
set
kind of
packs.
scope that out. It's easier to scope that out in an Excel file, like Robert did, before
Okay,
you
so-
actually go into the model, because it's not going to be 100%, but maybe
Yeah.
60% or 70%,
Okay. So in essence, we would have an Excel spreadsheet for two types of scopes. Basic,
Yeah.
let's say gold,
Yeah.
or I don't know.
Yeah, it was
silver
contractor-led,
status and platinum.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was contractor-led, and the other one contract-led, and the other one was developer-led. Yeah.
Okay. So we would pretty much have two Excel spreadsheets, contractor and developer.
Yeah.
And then by the start of the project, based on whatever the lead says, we'll do the contract and then we'll produce those drawings, and at least everyone knows what drawings they need to produce.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe that's better. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
And
then that already sets up the sheets for you.
yeah, and then
Then you just
you can
populate
always
and add.
you can always add more
Or a
sheets
mess.
if you want to, like
Yeah,
one
yeah.
by one.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is
All
a
right.
huge time saver because you got all your
Yeah, yeah.
sheets set up.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, that's amazing. But we'd obviously need to have those two Excel spreadsheets already set up.
Yeah.
Drawing register type imports.
Yeah.
And then we add, if there's any additional stuff, we add in later,
Yeah.
which is great because then that kind of gives you your packages start to finish and what we need to start and what we need to end.
Yeah,
on,
it's
which is great.
always good to know. And also the drawing register has a useful thing, which is progress. This is a field that doesn't really relate to anything else, but just for the drawing register. So here you can indicate how far are you with the drawing, And so this is useful for saying, oh, I'm kind of halfway or 75% or whatever. And you can always use this to show to the project lead, like we're halfway or, more or less halfway or whatever. Yeah. Because this will go to Excel to the drawing register and you can get a average progress for the whole project. Yeah.
Yeah. And also what's nice is say, for instance, starting from 0, going all the way to 3,000 or 10,000, whatever it is. And I would assume that, let's say, drawing number 10,000 is the last drawings that you have to do in terms of the progress of the project, right?
Probably. Yeah.
In order.
Well,
Hopefully we
I
don't
don't
have to do 10,000 drones, though.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Trying to
based on
get to
this,
that point.
so if those two Excel spreadsheets could be almost like set up, that's amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It'd save a lot, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so thanks, Bruno.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Bruno.
Right.
Could you just
Yeah.
show that once more? Just how to kind of look in the crowd.
I think I'm gonna keep going because we got 10 minutes. You can always watch the recording, Paul, I think. Is that okay?
Grand.
Okay. Right. So once you got your sheets, you got your geolocation sorted, you want to kind of set up everything before you start modeling, right? So what this means is the grid lines are out of sync and the level is correct because we checked that it was 58 meters above sea level. So you kind of want to get rid of these grid lines here and create the ones that you actually need, right? So we're kind of running short of time. So I wanted to bring the CAD sketch for the buildings here, but we don't have enough time. So I'm just gonna, let's assume you have like the shape of the building here, right? That you want to draw. So you go to architecture. The first thing before you start doing walls is to do grid lines, because the grid lines are your setting up, right? So if you go to grid lines, there's different ways of doing grid lines, and the easiest way is pick lines. So if you had a CAD file here, let me see if I can bring it in quickly. I got this CAD file here, apartment blocks, which is for this project, and you can see like it shows you the blocks. When you have a file like this, you can see you don't want to bring this into Revit because it's just too messy, right? So I'm gonna pick this shape here. Obviously, I must probably just pick it with the property line so I can place it on the side file, but I'm not gonna worry with that for now. And then click new. Just gonna name it apartments. Sorry, I need to click new. I hit AutoCAD. Then paste. There. That's the shape of my apartment. I'm gonna save this somewhere in my desktop. It's just a temporary file, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna bring it here. Insert, always link, all right? Don't import, because you wanna keep track of these CAD files. I'm gonna say current view only. This is in millimeters because, you know, we're probably in millimeters. There it is. So this is pinned. So I'm gonna unpin it so I can move it and drag it somewhere here. Let's assume that's the right location, right? So once you have the CAD file ready to start tracing, you go to, architecture, grid lines, and then you can use this green thing and pick the lines. You might have to adjust the grid lines based on, you know, whether they are on the external face or in the middle. I actually don't know. How do you normally do it? How do you normally do it, Mark or David?
Structure.
Huh?
Off the structure.
Ah.
Off the structural elements.
Okay.
Internal or whatever.
Yeah. And here you kind of extend them, you know, because I only traced a few. Make sure they cross each other. I mean, this is a very quick exercise. Should probably do it better, but. And then you kind of name them, right? 1, say, 2. I missed one here, but let's assume the naming is correct. So now we have our grid lines and our levels set up, right? Now you can start actually modeling stuff. Bring in CAD layout, set of grids. Before you start modeling though, we created a very useful guideline here in our webpage called Pre-Flight Checklist. This is for post-planning and this one for planning. That is meant to give you a conversation to be had with your project lead about the external wall construction method and the travel distances and a bunch of things that need to be set out before you actually model stuff on your model. Because if you don't ask these questions, what will happen is that you will model something that is not right and you'll have to start again. So rather ask these questions first, get the answers, and then you can start drawing correctly, right? So let's assume you know the wall type, and now you can just draw your walls, But at least you know your project is geolocated, it's a clean file, the grids are in the right place, the levels are correct, all your sheets are set out. You can just go fast now,
Sorry, Bruno, just on that, I'm not sure is it worthwhile having, like, say, a checklist of standard wall types that we'd have, and maybe even wall type thicknesses,
Yeah.
just as a starting point, because, yeah, like, what I've noticed, like, is you might have 3 or 4 different versions of the same wall type,
Yeah.
and there's nothing different. The only difference is how it's named.
Yeah, I understand that. We're kind of getting there. It's just taking a bit longer than we thought. So far, we have a bunch of walls here in the template that are kind of the ones from, I think, Whitehaven, as far as I understand. These ones here. This should cover some cases, but we're going to have a proper, when you start the file, you'll have all the wall types here. And then you can just, delete this and use the ones that you want. We're working on it. This is still work in progress. But yeah, it's a good point.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, sorry, just one other thing, going back to the drawings there. In the project browser, basically the way the sheets are grouped, the folders are just numbers. Is it possible to add a name to that? So just for example, 10 is general arrangement.
You mean
So
on the sheets or on the views? On the sheets.
On the sheet views. So
Yeah.
see how it says just 10?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not possible because it's using the actual sheet number. But you can do that here, on the views. So if you tie up the packages with an explanation here,
Yeah,
it
essentially
helps you as a reference,
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose maybe that's a workaround, but essentially what's being done there in the views, just so it's easier for if someone's jumping onto a project looking for something in particular, a specific sheet that they can just see that it's, say, 10 general arrangement and just make it easier and quicker to find what they're looking for.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. These views themselves are, let me just remember. I'm
not sure, is that kind of picked up as well on the Excel sheet as well?
Just give me one second. Type. Oh yeah, this is by type. So these working views, let's say, are managed by this drop down here. So this is, in this case, it's supposed to be external wall drawing. If you want it to be a GA, you change the type to GA. Doesn't do anything to the view itself. It just moves it here, right? Oh, sorry, I forgot to say that. All right, any questions? I hope it was useful.
Oh, that was useful, yeah. Thanks, Bruno.
And obviously, we'll have another session in a few weeks, and we'll keep building on this,
Yes.
Well,
All right.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks,
Enjoy your
Bruno.
weekend.
Take
Cheers.
care. Cheers.
Bye.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.